Welcome back to the 411 Podcasting Network. I am your host, Larry Csonka, and this is episode 20 of the 411 on Wrestling podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube, and of course the 411mania.com website. Please make sure to share and subscribe our show, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Today, I am joined with my good friend, the good brother, Jeremy Lambert. How are you, Jeremy?
Oh, I am doing well, actually. I'm not going to complain about lack of sleep or anything like that. I'm doing well on a Friday. It's a Friday. How can I not be doing well?
That is fantastic. And I saw on Twitter you mentioned the other day you've been watching 90210. I'm very happy to hear this.
Yeah, I needed a new show to watch at night while I'm in the office and working on one of the 5 different gigs that I have. And I just finished up the OC for younger kids out there. And I was like, I need another high school teen drama to kind of watch because that's the stuff that I like. Don't judge me. I was like, 90210 has like 8, 9, 10 seasons. That'll keep me busy for a while. And the whole series is on Hulu. So it's like, yep, this is what I'm choosing.
Fantastic. Where are you at in the run so far?
I'm literally only 4 or 5, maybe 6 episodes in. What's his name? His girlfriend came back from Minnesota, and they slept together. So yeah, it's very, very early in my run here. So I've got a long ways to go.
That's okay though. That is good. That's what I do a lot too. I find shows like that, and it's always background noise for when I'm writing and stuff, and it's very underrated because it's a lot of people don't think about that. I always like doing that. The worst thing I fell into recently has been fucking Lifetime has been airing like 8 million episodes of Celebrity Wife Swap, and that show is just so stupid and addicting that I pop it on in the background, and it's like such staged bullshit because this person is a neat freak and a germaphobe. They're going to send them to somebody's house that doesn't clean and has 18 cats. But I'm like, it's still wildly entertaining and stupid. The worst thing that started it was the first one I caught like a couple nights ago was they were showing the Roddy Piper Ric Flair one.
Yeah, I saw you tweet about that.
Yeah, so I was like, I ended up watching that. And that one was just fascinating because it's like, Ric Flair obviously still being Ric Flair. And then like Piper is like a normal dude living in the mountains with his family. So when they do the swap, like his wife is like giving Ric Flair the save your money kid speech. It's amazing.
That's the guy to give the save your money speech, Roddy Piper. Well, in fairness, he probably saved his money better than Flair.
Yeah, but it was just so funny. But I've been watching that, and then I've been doing the 90210 rewatch again. I'm in the glory of season 5 with Tiffany Amber Thiessen's arrival.
Yeah, I saw you tweet about that as well, and I'm very excited to get to that point because I was a huge Saved by the Bell fan. If I could ever find reruns that are on constantly, I'd still watch it to this day. One of my favorite shows of all time. So I'm excited to see old Kelly Kapowski on the show.
Yeah, that was one of those funny things because I really liked her on that show, and then she came on 90210, and I was like, hey now. I was like, hello. But yeah, it was just amazing. So a good time, watching the stuff.
Since I am on this podcast every week, now everyone can look forward to my weekly 90210 binge watching updates.
That's right. And that's good. The people need to know what we're watching besides wrestling.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like that's all we watch, but we do have other things that we enjoy besides wrestling because according to a lot of commenters, we don't enjoy wrestling at all.
Yeah, I always love that one. But we will start off today, Jeremy. The big news finally broke this week as expected. AEW, All Elite Wrestling, has scored their TV deal. It was announced on Wednesday that later this year, Warner Media will provide exclusive multi-platform access for fans to watch AEW events, airing live weekly matches on TNT in primetime, as well as streaming them through Warner Brothers, Bleacher Report Live, and on pay-per-view. A leading digital sports enterprise, BR Live's high fan engagement will provide an invaluable opportunity to build AEW's audience. Now, one of the things with AEW, Jeremy, is we've talked lightly about it, but we haven't gone deep dive into it because we really couldn't. There's a roster of some guys we know and like. There was speculation, but now we actually have something that's real to talk about outside of like the pay-per-view. They actually have TV. So your initial reaction to the TV deal?
They allegedly have TV. One thing that struck me with the whole press release is there was no start date announced. There was no time slot, day of the week, anything like that announced, which first off, it's great that they're going to be on TNT. I think the Bleacher Report Live streaming aspect, the multi-platform aspect of all of this is going to be not quite as big as being on TV, but just as big because they're a very internet heavy company. Like, I mean, they got to this point thanks in large part to the success of being the Elite. You know, without that show, does AEW even exist? And I'm not sure it does. So they've done a lot with their social media and with how they've used YouTube and Twitter and all these other ways you can stream events and whatnot. So I think the Bleacher Report Live aspect is going to be a big deal for them to where they're going to be able to stream stuff. Maybe Being the Elite goes on there now. Like, I don't know how all that stuff is going to work. I'd imagine it stays on YouTube, but who knows? They can do different stuff with the multi-platform aspect of it. The TNT deal is great. I mean, it's wrestling again on TNT. It's a top promotion. I mean, they're the number 2 promotion in America right now. They haven't even officially run a show until next weekend, but they're number 2. So they're on TNT. I just was very curious that they didn't announce a start date or a time slot because that's kind of important. We want to know if you're going to make this announcement, we want to know when the startup is. We want to know what day of the week you're going to be on. And I guess they're still figuring that out, which is a little bit worrisome, but they seem to have everything else in place and it doesn't feel like it's going to be a big issue. Just knowing the TNT schedule, being a basketball fan, like Thursdays are off limits. Tuesdays, which everyone, when they trademark Tuesday Night Dynamite and when SmackDown's going to move to Fox on Fridays in the fall, everyone's like, oh, well, they're going to take the Tuesday spot. And I was very hesitant on that because basketball is on TNT on Tuesdays for at least half the NBA season is TNT's running games on Tuesdays throughout the second half of the season, sometimes during the first half as well, and then into the playoffs. So either you get preempted on those nights or you get moved to another day on those nights, or you don't run at all. I don't know how it was going to work. So Tuesdays, I was always, if they're going to be on TNT, they're going to have to figure it out with the NBA. Wednesday would seem to make a lot of sense right now. Again, Thursday's off the table. You don't want it because of basketball. You don't want to do Fridays. Mondays, I don't know if you want to jump into a head-to-head thing with WWE right away because you're losing that battle. And we saw with Impact, if you jump in there right away and you immediately get smoked, you just have that stain on you. And then it's tough to recover from that. So it feels like Wednesday is going to make the most sense. But again, it'd be nice if they let us know this stuff.
Yeah, and for some reason, it's one of those negative things that came out with the deal announcement. And I think a lot of that, too, is just, I wrote a column about it. And I think if you went into this with realistic expectations that the deal is a huge one. It is. I'm a little upset that they didn't come out and announce a day. I think that would have been for the best because then you would have had like the full buzz machine going for that. And like you said, Thursday is off limits because of basketball. Tuesday is likely off limits unless they're going to do the thing like they did back in the day on TBS with like Saturday night where they'd air like an hour of it before like the baseball game. and stuff like that, and then do regular schedule when there's no basketball. But I'd rather them not do that. It seems like Wednesday's a safe landing point. I'd stay away from Friday. I'd stay away from Monday. There's no need to rush into any kind of competition. And I wrote about that too, because the thing is you can't be concerned about everybody else. You have to be concerned about you. One of the biggest problems TNA made throughout the years was not having their own identity, not having a long-term plan, not sticking to building certain stars, and then talking about WWE. And people were like, well, that was the best part of the Monday Night Wars. No, it really wasn't. Because you know how many times I wanted to throw something through the TV because I was sick of hearing, back in New York, I never got a shot. Or back when I was up north, I never got the chance. Or then they would just start, WCW just started saying, Vince Russo used to work for WWE and was the brainchild of the Attitude Era. It's like, now you're just saying the name. It's like, no, don't. Focus on yourself. If you put out a good product and you start getting, you have fan loyalty and you start building an audience, then you talk about it later. Don't even think about it later. I don't understand why some people would want that. And it was the same thing with Impact when they were going to Monday Night, because for the longest time, there was a school of thought of, well, there's so many people that missed the Monday Night Wars that Impact could probably jump to Mondays and do 2 million viewers with no problem. And then they jumped to Monday night and that didn't happen. So it's like, why would you want another promotion that is just starting to jump into something like that when you've seen the damage that it did to TNA back in the day? So yeah, I think Wednesday would be good. And then the other thing is, you have these people taking this weird victory lap because, oh, look, they're not getting rights fees. I thought they were getting rights fees. And to me, that was the irresponsibility and the poor job done by wrestling media. And by wrestling media, I'm talking about the people that quote-unquote report the news, break the news. Because everybody was talking about how, oh, this could be a deal, bigger than when TNA was on Spike, and, the biggest since WCW. And they were throwing out all these really, really big, grandiose ideas. And then nobody was taken into consideration, which is why I keep telling people it's okay to be optimistic, but you're cautiously optimistic. You're not taking into account that this is a startup company with no track record, no major star power, looking for a deal. And then you look at like MIW, who's a big sponsor for a lot of viewership and SS online anyway, to the commercial people watch the show. You have Impact, who is the part to do with Pursuit, you have to on Twitch, so people like they can save, and others can save. You have ROH, which has some kind of syndication, which is great because some kind owns them, but the syndication is so damn sketchy that you don't never know to see the show all the time, so they have to rely on it. So the fact that Elite Wrestling with no track record, no major stars, and I'm not dying for stuff the guys and watching them really well, but they went in, they got a TV deal on a major network that gets almost almost 90 million viewers a year. And they're going to get production power. And depending on the production cost, which is going to be $4 an episode, that means that they're going to make bring in $20 to $25 million to make their show. Nobody else is getting it. Unless you're WWE who's making $1 billion TV. And let's also reflect back on look how long it took WWE to even get a big TV deal. Which the initial big TV deal with USA was like $5 million a year. Which means they were probably about breaking even on that thing. It was the fact that they were getting TV rights, which they parlayed into the TNN deal, which is about $25 million. So then it started going up and up since then. And now we're about to enter into the 5 most profitable years in the company's history with millions of fucking dollars. And billions of dollars for the TV product. Which again, no offense,
They definitely like the Monday Night War thing is so stupid. Just you don't need to recreate that. AEW is being very smart. I know like Chris Jericho said like it's a war. Cody is kind of hinted like yeah, we want to go after him. The Bucks and Omega are a little bit smarter and just being like we're just going to present an alternative and the fans can choose. Like we're not gonna just directly try to compete with them. These guys aren't stupid. Like you don't get to this position from where they were a year ago. Like think about where this group was a year ago and where they are now. There was not even an inkling of hey, we're gonna start our own promotion, and now they're on TNT starting this fall. They're not dumb. They know that they don't need to go head to head with WWE right away. Carve out your own path, do your own thing. And even if they did go head to head with WWE right away, I think they would be smart enough not to be like, hey, I used to work here. I was someone like they didn't give me this push or whatever. Like they've beat that horse to death. Even on being the elite, they haven't run it into the ground, but they make the jokes about it and everything. But it's smooth. It doesn't come across as bitter or anything. It's part of their kind of canon. So it works. You don't need to do that every week on television because, as you said, that's what Impact tried to do. Impact was so obsessed with just competing with WWE that now they're on the fucking Pursuit channel. The rights fee stuff is, yeah, I think people overestimated and took someone. I mean, we know it's Meltzer, but he was being very championing this deal. And so people got high expectations with it. And when it was like, oh, rights fees aren't part of it, people were like, oh, this deal is a failure. I don't give a shit about that stuff. They're gonna make money regardless. I'm gonna watch it regardless. I don't care if WWE is making $1 billion off of their rights fees. Just give me a good product. That's that money's not coming into my pockets. I don't give a shit how much you make out of this deal or if you're paying to be on TV. Whatever it is, you're on television. Just give me a good product. I really think people get too caught up in the financial stuff like that. Like I do this all the time with basketball and with hockey. Really any sport. Your favorite team pays for this certain player and maybe they overpay for them and whatever. Like I don't care. It's not my money. Just give me good players. Get me good players on the court or the ice or the field. That's all I care about. I don't care how much you're paying him. You can pay him $5 million more than he should make. You can pay him $10 million more than he should make. You can pay him $5 million less than he should make. I don't give a shit. It's not my money. I'm not paying him anything. Just I want to see a good team. I want my team to succeed. Same thing with AEW. I don't care if they're paying. I don't care if they're getting paid. Just give me a good product. The pay-per-view thing is one thing that I understand why they have to do it because they don't have a streaming platform. And maybe if they get off of pay-per-view providers, they do more with Bleacher Report Live, they can set a better price. $50 for a pay-per-view nowadays, it's a tough ask when $50 is getting you ROH, WWE, New Japan, and fucking high spots or any other Impact. Like, and granted, Impact you still have to pay for their pay-per-views as well, but you can get so much wrestling for $50, and they're asking you for one show. It's a tough sell. Double or Nothing will probably do very well. just because it's the first show, and you can expect surprises. They're doing matches that people have seen before, but maybe not everyone has seen these matches, in the United States. And they're still good matches. They're still intrigued in these matches. They've built them up well. The storyline leading into them has been good. After Double or Nothing, though, it's going to be an uphill battle with this stuff because everyone expects them to just come out firing for Double or Nothing. They tease plenty of surprises. Is Ambrose going to show up? Is CM Punk going to show up? He's probably not because he's working an MMA thing that night. But, is this guy or that guy going to show up? So you have that intrigue there. You get into Fight for the Fallen and Fighter Fest and this other stuff. And once you're doing these monthly events, like you can't just come out with a huge surprise at every single event. If you can, great. But they talked about, we want the roster to be at this. You can't just keep bringing in guys every single month of, hey, this is a big surprise. Now he's part of the company. And then your roster starts to get overrun with, these ex-WWE guys, which they don't want. So that's the toughest part of this for me, is the pay-per-view stuff. We'll see how it goes. Again, this company, they're not going under or anything like that. They're going to have plenty of time to build. I would not freak out over viewership numbers whenever they come out. I would not freak out over pay-per-view numbers whenever they come out to start with. And I wouldn't even put, like, if the Double or Nothing numbers are good, I wouldn't even be like, oh, well, look out, WWE, because they did this one show that did really well. Like, sustaining is a huge thing in wrestling. We've seen how much momentum wrestling has lost, not just the last 20 years, but just the last year. Like 1 million viewers have gone by the wayside in WWE from this point last year to right now. And, that's 1 million people that just decided, I'm not watching this product anymore. And yeah, part of it is the product isn't very good right now, and hasn't been for the last year outside of, certain things. But don't put too much stock into this stuff that truthfully doesn't affect you. Like that's how I look at it. Like, I don't care what the ratings are. WWE's not going under. I don't care what the buy rates are for Double or Nothing. AEW is not going under, at least not anytime soon. Like, they're going to have at least a year to establish themselves. So enjoy it for a year. Just if in a year it's not doing well and things are falling and it doesn't look like it's a worthwhile investment, then it might be time to start worrying. But TNA has lasted 17 years, and we were supposed to be worried about them after year one as well. Just hope for a good product. That's what I want. I want a good product because I watch too much wrestling, and there's too much good wrestling out there, and there's also a lot of shitty wrestling out there. And for them to have this kind of platform that no other company except for WWE has, you should just want a good product out of this.
Yeah, and for those of you that might not understand exactly what we're talking about with the pay-per-view stuff, the thing is they have signed deals with all the major pay-per-view providers like On Demand and DirecTV and stuff, and the pay-per-view price is locked in at $49.95, which basically usually through the deal with that, and the providers did this because of the WWE network. When WWE started the network, they got undercut because the network was only $9.99. So basically, the new deals and stuff like this for AEW have a clause in it that if you go online, especially, so they're doing the Bleacher Report Live stuff as part of the new deal, you can't undercut them. You can't sell the pay-per-view for $20 and kind of screw the cable company. So that's why it's priced that way. It's basically a cable industry set thing, and they can't undercut it, and it sucks. Like Jeremy said, I hate it myself. I don't like it. I think it may be a barrier of entry for some people because, like you said, $50 is a big ask. You could get the WWE Network. You could subscribe to ROH's Honor Club. You could get New Japan World, and then you could add on like High Spots or Progress or Impact Plus or whatever. You could get 5 services for that for a month, and
there are people that, are not cool with spending that much money on stuff. We talked about it with the last Impact pay-per-view. It's like they've been putting on really good pay-per-views, but it's 2019 and you're asking $40. And that's a hard ask for some people in this age where Hulu is under $10 and Netflix is whatever the fuck Netflix is now. I don't even remember what the hell Netflix is.
Netflix is still, if you got grandfathered in, it's still like $8.99 or something.
Okay,
I think they've boosted the prices since then, but if you've had a subscription for a long time, I know like we've had our subscription for years now and our price has never gone up. So we're still paying $8.99. Please no one alert Netflix if our subscription price was supposed to go up. Don't be a snitch.
Yeah, man. We don't need no snitches around here. That's bullshit. But anyway, yeah, it's like, we're in this age to where you can get so much for so little, and that's not a bad thing. But like, yeah, when you're coming out firing, it's like, I think Double or Nothing looks like a great show. But again, you're asking $50. So, and you're going to have some people there that are going to be like, I want to support this because they're like you, Jeremy. They just want good wrestling. And they think it looks good. And then, like I said, I think for others, it might be a barrier of entry because it's kind of a big ask show one. They're not on TV right now, and not everybody knows what being the Elite is. And not everybody knows that, Kenny Omega was this big star in Japan and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. But
here's the other thing I would mention on that is, and why I would not put too much stock into these buy rates and whatnot. As I said, the Elite fans are very online heavy fans. I'm not condoning piracy. There will be ways to watch this event without having to pay $50. More people than however many people buy it are going to end up watching it. It's going to be tough and then the hardcore supporters will obviously support it. I think the newer fans who maybe don't have a good streaming service or don't have a good internet connection, that's where it's going to be tougher for, because they're not going to try to pirate this event, and they're not going to pay $50 to watch this event. They're gonna I would imagine that whatever the buy rate is, significantly more people are going to end up watching this thing. People talk about, Being the Elite does 300,000 views. I think the latest Road to Double or Nothing did like 800,000 views. And then people have now set like unrealistic expectations for how much they're going to do as far as buy rates, or how much they're going to do as far as television ratings. Don't put stock into how many YouTube streams something does, because some people watch that shit twice, 3, 4 times. Those videos are literally like the Road to Double or Nothing videos are like 6 minutes long. Like, people have attention spans of 6 minutes. Less people have attention spans of 2 hours, even if it's something really good. WWE gets millions of views on their YouTube pages, and they're barely cracking 2 million views on television. So, Dean Ambrose's short little video did more viewers than the recent episode of SmackDown. And it's like, Dean Ambrose is this huge star. Don't put stock into these YouTube numbers or these social media numbers. Somebody pointed out that like the TNT video is literally a 10-second clip with the flames going up behind the AEW logo. Somebody's like, this has 2 million views in 24 hours. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? It's a 10-second video. I probably watched it like 3 times. So yeah, there's 3 people probably watched it a bunch. It's literally 10 seconds. Like, that contributes to each view. Don't put stock into kind of these social media numbers and use it to predict what they're actually going to do on television pay-per-view. Put stock into that's how many people have online access to and are interested in watching this, and will somehow find a way to watch it even if they're not watching it legally.
Yeah, and that's I think there's all these like junior detectives out there that they want to look at these numbers and try to like extrapolate some kind of fucking formula to create a buy rate or a rating, and it's just, you can't do it. I mean, online numbers and social media stuff is good, okay? It's nice. It shows that people are watching your shit and all that. But like you said, like there are WWE videos that have done like 5 or 6 million views. There's not 5 or 6 million people watching Raw or SmackDown. It's just, it doesn't always correlate to the same thing. So yeah, it's I mean, it's great that they have an online presence. Like you said, they have a loyal online audience and everything. We just have to see what it does. And like I don't know, I'd like to say like smart wrestling fans, I'm hoping for the best. I want alternatives. I'm not even necessarily saying competition. I just want other shit that's good to watch. I mean, there's a reason why I wake up at 5 in the morning to watch New Japan. I personally enjoy it a lot. It makes me happy. I like a lot of the wrestlers in the wrestling. You know, it's like there's nothing wrong with it. There are still people that like Raw every Monday for some reason. Like, to me, that's baffling. But again, that's personal taste, though. And I'm fine with that if you like Raw or SmackDown. I mean, SmackDown, I think, is pretty good most weeks, but yeah, it's like, that's fine, though. It's like, this isn't like a big fucking fan war, man. Like what you like, and like I said, I think that AEW, and I wrote about it, we talked about it, AEW getting success is good for the business. It's another company on a major cable network. It's giving jobs to other people, and it's causing WWE to pay more, which I think we can all agree that a lot of wrestlers do deserve more pay. They're trying to get people to stay, so guys that wouldn't have got pay raises in the past are getting pay raises to stay. I think these are all good things. I want more alternatives. I want good things to watch. So I hope it all works out well, and I believe probably in the next month or so we'll find out when they're going to air. I do think you're right, Jeremy. I think it probably will end up being Wednesday. It seems like the safest choice with all the basketball they run on there. And,
I like Wednesday as well because I don't know what time slot they're going to be, if it's going to be 8 to 10 or 9 to 11. You've got NXT. I mean, you can go, if NXT gets moved to Fox Sports 1, then that creates a whole different thing. But people are sort of around on Wednesdays to watch NXT. If you're right after NXT, that's a nice, like, NXT is a great 1 hour show. That's a nice, hopefully 3 hour block. I'm not going to say AEW is going to be great every week and already say that, hey, this is going to be the best show on television, because we haven't seen it on television. But theoretically, you have a really strong 3 hour block right there of different kind of wrestling that you would see on WWE for those 3 hours every Monday night. And then if it's head to head with NXT, at least the first hour, then, fine. You don't have to watch NXT live. It's going to be on the network literally right after the show is over. And if you want to watch both, like, one will be on a computer, one will be on a TV, however you watch it and whatnot. Like, Wednesday feels like a good night, and it's one of the nights where, again, they don't have to worry about being preempted by basketball when the basketball season is on.
Yeah. And that also reminds me about just we're talking about like drawing and numbers and viewers and stuff. And like one thing I said too, and my thing is, we've seen that they can sell live event tickets. They sold out All In. They sold out Double or Nothing. These guys were a big part of the G1 Supercard selling out in advance, because everybody assumed that like Jericho, Omega, and the Bucks were going to be there. And so that is awesome. But now the next stage of the business move is, can they sell? I would hope that they're going to be smart and run 4,000 to 5,000 seat venues for TV, and not try to run like big ass arenas every week to where they have to tarp off and creatively shoot camera angles and stuff. But now we're going to find out is can they do that on a weekly basis, sell tickets. And you said, they do have a loyal audience, so we'll see what happens. But like All In, Double or Nothing, G1 Supercard, those succeeded partly due to the fact that they were billed as marquee events and they became fly-in events. So you don't have people that are going to fly in every week for TV. So you got to see, can they sell tickets every week, and can they build a TV audience? Because they do, like we said, they do a lot of great stuff online.
But again, how is that going to translate to a weekly TV show? So that there are still a lot of questions to be answered, but cautiously optimistic. Jeremy, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic as well. I would be more excited when I know what day of the week this thing is going to be airing on, so I can plan my fall accordingly. Yeah, but I'm excited as well. You're right about the whole ticket selling thing because All In, you can get people to travel. G1 Supercard, people are there already because it's WrestleMania weekend. Double or Nothing, you can get people to travel to Vegas. Like these are destination events. You're going to have, like I saw somebody post about the Fight for the Fallen tickets yesterday, and like tickets were fine, but there were still plenty left. I don't know if that's officially sold out yet. Like I haven't heard that this show has sold out. Fighter Fest is it's in conjunction with a gaming festival, so maybe that, I don't know how that whole setup is going to work. I know like Omega's whole deal last year didn't do too well, and like he had New Japan guys on it, but it wasn't officially like a New Japan show. This year will be better branded because it's an AEW show. They're going to run something in August. I don't know what they're going to do in August. September will be All In 2. Like that'll probably do well. The TV tapings or live events, those are going to be a little bit tougher, especially if you're going to travel, because you don't know, like fans aren't going to travel just for a television live event, especially when it's going to be on television every single week. So you don't know, and I don't know what kind of building they're going to run. You can't run like MGM Grand or the Sears Center for a weekly television show and expect to do well. The first show, I'm sure, will do great. After that, it's going to be a question mark. So this is why, again, don't put too much stock into, oh, they sold out this building for this event. Oh, they're doing this and that. They're going to have a year. Like things are going to be great to start probably because it's new, it's exciting, it's fresh. And then they're going to tail off because then not to say it's going to get repetitive, but once you see it, you get it. You understand what's going on. It just, the freshness of it wears off. You know what I mean? Like you get a new toy, you want to play with it for a little while, and then the next great new toy comes out. I'm not saying another great new toy is going to come out, but there will be something else that'll catch your intrigue, or you'll just realize, hey, I don't have to watch this live. I can watch it later on or whatnot. It'll start to dwindle a little bit. It's about keeping that base and keeping kind of that core and just proving at this time next year and really even later into next year, since give them at least a year on television, that there is an audience that will stick around for this. If they build, now if the ratings go up, if the viewership goes up, if the buy rates improve, if they keep selling out everything, that's even better news. I just would not freak out over things starting hot and then dropping, or things, because I mean that's already happened. Like the next couple of shows have already stopped selling as well as Double or Nothing did, and I would not freak out when things actually do drop. Just let's see how it plays out, as the old saying goes.
Yeah, really. So that is the AEW TV deal discussion for right now, and as we learn more, we will talk about it more. But that's what we know right now. So we will move on, Jeremy. We already previewed WWE Money in the Bank earlier this week, but there are some slight changes to the card, and we'll go ahead and talk about them now. First of all, they have added SmackDown Tag Team Champions Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus the Usos to the kickoff show. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think this is a title match, which I guess makes sense. Like the Usos lost, and then they lost to Shane McMahon on fucking Tuesday. So why should they get? I know it's a handicap match, but still, one of the Usos ate that pinfall. Why should they get a title match? The fact that it's not a title match makes me believe that the Usos are gonna win, which would be really stupid because then they should get a title match, but they're on a different brand. But there's a wild card rule, so I guess they can show up on SmackDown. This whole thing is dumb. Like, build your SmackDown tag teams up. You're either having your champions lose a non-title match, which is happening way too often, or you're having Bryan and Rowan win, which is great. They should win, but then the Usos are taking a hit, and then I guess they go and embarrass the Revival. But if Bryan and Rowan are going to win, just put the titles on the line, so at least it makes the titles look important and gives them a successful defense. This whole match irks me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a fan of it for the fact that it'll probably be a good match because they had a good match on TV. But yeah, I am already over this stupid wild card bullshit, and it's just so stupid. And it's on top of that, I feel it's so lazy. It's just, oh, we're just gonna randomly throw guys on the shows because we, ratings are low and we're not sure how to do this, and we kind of fucked up the superstar shakeup.
Yeah, they really did. I thought they were going to add the Revival to this match, and I guess, we'll record this, and then they'll probably add it because, the Usos and the Revival have their thing going on. They clearly don't care about the Revival. Put the titles on the line. You can have Bryan and Rowan beat the Revival, and so then you're protecting the Usos. The Revival they can't be buried any further, and then the titles get defended. Like, it's still stupid. It's still dumb. It's still stupid that you would do this match and, have SmackDown, Raw, whatever. And Survivor Series is looking bad. It is not the one time of year Raw and SmackDown go head to head anymore. But I think that makes more sense. It's still dumb. At least there's an out there. This match just feels, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very frustrating, but yeah, so that has been added to the show. On Raw, we found out that they had a match. Sami Zayn, with a little help from his friends, ended up beating Braun Strowman. Samuel Zayn replaces Braun Strowman in the men's Money in the Bank match now.
I'm fine with this. Like we both talked about, I didn't mind Braun in this match. He's a good base. He can catch guys, and people still kind of like him, and he can knock things over and stuff. Sami Zayn is obviously a much better worker. So putting Sami in this match is great. And I'm not saying he's going to win. I still think McIntyre is the guy. I feel like there's more stock in Sami winning than there was with Braun, because we saw Braun with it last year and it was a failure. And I just don't know if he really needs it. Sami, he gets it. And then he's a snarky little heel who now has this briefcase. Like, I think it would be a interesting way to go with that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it adds more intrigue of who could possibly win, because I just feel Sami would have better odds than Braun.
Sami with the briefcase with his new douchey character would be spectacular. I doubt it happens myself, but yeah, I think he is a great change to the match. I'm not a big fan of Braun in Money in the Bank. I think he's kind of limited in what he can do outside of being a base and a few freaky power spots. I'm sure he'll end up getting involved in here to try to get revenge on Corbin and McIntyre and Sami and stuff. But you had Sami in there with Andrade and Ali and Ricochet and stuff like that. And that makes the match a lot better in my eyes. So I'm looking forward now to the men's Money in the Bank much more than I was before. And then on Monday night, there was also an angle ran where Alexa Bliss, her luggage was lost, so she couldn't wrestle in her match. And that was a big kind of an angle alert there, as Nikki Cross ended up taking her place and then won her match that night. And then it came out that Alexa Bliss was not medically cleared for Sunday's pay-per-view. She is reportedly having concussion issues again, which, if you've kind of followed her injury status over the last 6 to 8 months, is in no way a good thing if it is a concussion again, because it's getting to the point now that I really wonder if they're going to put her back in the ring if it is another concussion. So Nikki Cross is going to replace her in Money in the Bank. And no offense to Alexa, I think that's another positive change to the match. Jeremy, your thoughts?
I don't know if it's a concussion. I saw PW Insider, they speculated that it was they reported that it was a concussion. Meltzer said it's not a big deal. It's just precautionary. Like, if it's if it's not a big deal, that tells me that it isn't a concussion because, I mean, with her history, a concussion is a big deal. Even if it wasn't her history, a concussion is a big deal. So I don't know who is right on this situation, and more will come out. I don't want to speculate that it's a concussion. I don't know what it is. I hope that whatever it is, that she is able to return, but it doesn't seem like she just, I don't know. She's had a lot of injuries over the years. And if it is a concussion, then she just shouldn't be in the ring. Like that's just too many in too short period of time. And, it's only going to get worse. So I wish the best for Alexa Bliss. She will always have a role on television as some type of manager or authority figure, whatever they want her to do, whatever she wants, or host, talk show host, whatever she wants to do, she will be able to do because she's that good on the microphone, and they obviously like her and they put a lot of stock into her. I will give them credit that they seemingly knew about this on Monday and maybe even before, because she hasn't wrestled on the European tour at all despite being there. And they at least shot an angle to, I mean, I feel like they had to know this on Monday, because otherwise you don't shoot this angle to put Nikki Cross in the Fatal 4-Way and then have Nikki Cross win if she's not going to be in the match in some aspect. Maybe it was a protection issue of, hey, if we need to do Nikki Cross replacing Alexa Bliss, then we have this, explanation right here of how we're going to do it. And if not, then maybe Nikki Cross would have come in, help Alexa Bliss win. Who knows what they would have done if Bliss was medically cleared. But they at least set this up better than she's just out. Here's Nikki Cross, who hasn't been on television for really since being called up to the main roster. So at least they did a little something to make this all make sense. I feel bad for Alexa Bliss. I hope she is okay, because when she is on screen, she clearly has a presence. She's very good on the microphone, and she's one of the female superstars who they haven't just completely buried into the ether.
Yeah, I don't want to see anybody's career ended prematurely for any reason. I really hope it isn't a concussion issue, because, again, I think it's a lot in a short period of time, like you said, if it is. And that would be really horrible, because she's so damn young, and it's like with Paige. You look at Paige, that's such a sad situation that, her whole life was in wrestling and getting to WWE, and then the neck issues and all that shit. It's horrible to see. I just don't want to see it happen to anybody. But at least that they did book a backup, which worked. And I found it funny that Monday night people were like just burying that Nikki Cross angle. And I'm like, why? I'm like, because I was looking at it, I'm thinking that she wins the match, and then Alexa's kind of being her friend afterwards and climbs the ladder while Nikki's all kind of half happy for her. And I'm like, they're either setting up Nikki Cross as Alexa's crazy friend that's going to help her win, or they're setting up that she's going to take her out and go in the match on Sunday. So I don't understand why people were so down on that whole thing, because either way, it made sense to me. So I thought that they were actually trying to set something up, and as we found out, they did.
Yeah, I actually, even then, I didn't mind it, because let's say Bliss was part of this match. You could spin it and basically say that, hey, Bliss is manipulating now a shy Nikki Cross to take her spot in this match, so she doesn't have to wrestle 6 days before the pay-per-view. She can, save her energy, not get hurt, whatever, however you want to call it. And now maybe she can have Nikki Cross help her. It worked on a lot of different levels, and it worked in this case because Nikki Cross actually has a reason to be in this match and has some momentum to be in this match. So I think it was a good job by WWE to book this angle, to shoot this angle, because it protected them on many different ways, whether Bliss was going to be cleared or whether she wasn't. The Bliss character, and in this instance, the Nikki Cross character, make this angle work the way it does. It doesn't work if it's Dana Brooke and Nikki Cross replaces her, because then Dana Brooke's character doesn't have that kind of manipulative ways about her. It's just like, all right, Nikki Cross is replacing Dana Brooke, like, great. But in this case, you could have spun it multiple ways depending on how things played out.
Yeah. So again, yeah, they did it. They did it for as much shit as we will give them. I think that they did a good job there. So we will move on. Jeremy, New Japan Pro Wrestling has started this year's Best of Super Junior tournament. We are officially 4 nights deep into the tournament. Everything airing live with English commentary on New Japan World. And so we'll start with night 1 here. Tiger Mask defeating Taka Michinoku in our tournament opener.
No longer Zack Sabre time, which is very upsetting to me. Good opener. It's an old Tiger Mask and an old Taka Michinoku, but I thought they kicked off the tournament fairly well. The crowd was into it. It didn't go too long, and it was a good teaser of, hey, we know these guys aren't really the top guys in the tournament, but they can still go, and it was a good preview of what was to come. So I didn't have an issue with it. Tiger Mask winning was maybe a little bit of a surprise, but I mean, we both know neither of these guys are going to be up there in the end. So kind of these wins and losses against each other doesn't mean too much, although they're doing a little bit with Tiger Mask, as we'll get into, but a good opener.
Yeah, it's funny because there are people that get surprised every year when Tiger Mask like jumps out to like 2-0 or 3-0, and it's like, it happens a lot. I'm like, he wins non-important matches to kind of go on the early run as a former multi-time Best of Super Junior winner and the legend, and then he starts losing all the important matches. Like, he will be destroyed by Shingo at some point, and stuff like that later on. So it's like, yeah. But good veterans match, So that was a nice way to start it off. Teton from CMLL defeated Yoshinobu Kanemaru from Suzuki Gun. And what were your thoughts on Teton here?
I haven't seen a whole lot of Teton. He wasn't bad. We'll get into someone who is god-awful here in a bit.
Yes.
But Teton was certainly more impressive than him. Kanemaru, not like, he's fine as well. Again, 2 guys who probably aren't going to make a whole lot of noise in the tournament. I preferred the Taka and Tiger Mask match, maybe because I'm just more familiar with both of those guys, and I'm still a mark for Taka Michinoku. So, but it was fine. I wouldn't say it was like a bad match or anything. It was, again, a fairly short match, and it went by pretty fast. So nothing wrong with it. Yeah,
I agree. I like the opener a little better. I thought it was fine. Teton's all right. I don't have a problem with him. He's pretty good. And Kanemaru he has points to where he looks good. He's never really bad until he does, until they get into the Suzuki Gun overbooking stuff, which they stayed away from. But yeah, fine match, no problem. We moved on. Things picked up here. Marty Scurll defeated Jonathan Gresham. I thought this was really good. They worked a heavy ground-based grappling style match to play into both guys' submission games. It was really smooth, a lot of slick counter work, really good stuff. Marty, as the New Japan vet in this case, picks up the big win. But Gresham looked really good here.
I love Marty Scurll probably more than most, and I really like Jonathan Gresham. I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen as much of him as I would like, but he is certainly one of those guys where every time he wrestles, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a good match. He's I'm not going to put him on the level of a Zack Sabre Jr., but he's right there. Like, he's probably a tier below, where his work is so smooth and his style is so friendly that it's just very tough for him to have a bad match. Anyone who can work that very technical submission style and pull it off in a way that he does it. It's just tough for those guys to have a bad match. And Gresham can, go out of his comfort zone as well, much like a Zack Sabre Jr. So I thought this match was really good. For the Japan audience who probably haven't seen a whole lot of Jonathan Gresham, this was a good introduction for them. They know Scurll from his time there previously and on past tours and whatnot. So they're still into Marty Scurll, even though he's not in Bullet Club anymore. But yeah, this is a good introduction for newer fans. If you haven't seen a whole lot of Jonathan Gresham, like, this guy is outstanding, and you should probably go out of your way, and I'm talking to myself here as well, to watch more of him. So a really good match. Not surprised Scurll got the win. He's probably going to do decent things in this tournament. Nothing too great, while Gresham, he's going to have good matches throughout. He's probably not going to win a whole lot, but he'll pick up some wins over even lesser known guys.
Yeah, I love Gresham. I think the dude is awesome, and he's like Zack Sabre too, where he can go out of his comfort zone. But the other thing is he works that grappling submission style, but it's not a style. They don't allow it to be a style that's slow and boring, because they do a lot of change of pace things that work really well and that helps the match. And then I think the best thing about Marty here early on is he's not been relying on shtick as much. I mean, he's just going out there and having really good matches. And he's still Marty, and he plays around a little bit, but there were points in New Japan where it was like 90% Marty shtick, and it was like very little wrestling. And then you're like, dude, you're really good. You don't need to do that all the time. So I've enjoyed that. But yeah, I thought it was a really good match to kick off his tournament. It was good quality-wise. And, again, Gresham, like you said, I agree. Probably not going to pick up a lot of wins, but will probably impress a lot of people. And speaking of impressing, we had a match many of us were waiting for, Jeremy. Shingo versus Sho. They beat the shit out of each other throughout the entire Talkie tour. It was awesome. And we got 24 minutes of it here. The show put up an awesome fight. And my only complaint was I had actually hoped that this match would be like the last match for Shingo in the tournament, because I thought that they really could have teased, like, if he goes undefeated throughout the whole thing, I think they really could have teased the draw with Sho to play off of everything towards the end, and then, like, give some drama who wins the block and all that stuff. But I mean, I thought this was fucking excellent. Shingo is awesome. Sho is awesome. Sho's gonna be such a star, man. And Shingo already is a star. 15 years after running rampant over Dragon Gate, and now he's in New Japan. There's just so many awesome matches he can have later on. I thought this was excellent. 24 minutes. Shingo wins. Sho survives.
Let me get the bad out of the way. Fuck Sho's music. I want my Roppongi 3K. I don't want this TJ Perkins video game ripoff nonsense.
Listen, Sho's his own guy in Best of the Super Juniors. He doesn't need the Roppongi 3K shit.
The Roppongi 3K song is one of the best theme songs in wrestling. I don't care what anyone says. It's clear they have huge plans for Sho, because, like, they are giving him, like, he's not wearing Roppongi tights. He's got a new theme here. He's going, we'll get into it later, but he went toe-to-toe with Shingo, who is yet to be defeated. He went toe-to-toe with Dragon Lee, who is the champion. They see a lot in this guy, and they should. He's awesome. This match ruled. I loved everything about this match. They built off of everything they did on the tour. They finally, Sho got his one-on-one shot. There were so many times where it looked like, oh, fuck, he's going to pull this off. And then Shingo would kick out, and Shingo eventually ended up winning, which Shingo's probably running through this entire block. And, I mean, maybe he should. I agree with you that maybe you do this at the end and you can build even more drama to it. I think possibly their thinking was, we had teased this for months on this tour. We need to just go ahead and do it now before, Show maybe takes a loss. I don't think Shingo was ever going to take a loss. Show was obviously not going to be undefeated as well. They're building Show kind of. He's going to end up winning a lot more on this tournament. He's 0-2 right now, but his 2 losses were to literally a guy who hasn't been pinned and the champion. So those aren't bad losses by any stretch of the imagination. And he went toe-to-toe with both of those guys. So they're clearly kind of building, he started from behind. Now he's going to work his way back up, get these big wins. Those matches are going to be good experience for him. They see a lot in Show, and again, they should. This guy's going to be potentially the ace of this division as early as next year, and maybe by the end of this year.
Yeah, it was just excellent. So I was, like I said, the placement of the match again. That's like a very minor thing on my part.
I'm more concerned that this should have been the main event. I know Dragon Lee and Ishimori, they've got their history and everything, but like we just saw that match not too long ago. I understand why that was the main event. I think Show and Shingo should have been the main event on this show.
Well, it was the people's main event, Jeremy.
That is for sure. That's for sure.
But no, I do agree. Yeah, it was awesome, and Ishimori and Dragon Lee was the main event. Ishimori finally defeated Dragon Lee to get some heat back after losing the title and then losing to him on the Dontaku tour. They had a great match. They had a lot to overcome, obviously, because Shingo and Show was just excellent. And, I thought this was great. Ishimori finally gets the win. Dragon Lee starts off in the hole. Ishimori can claim a title shot later on again. And, again, I thought it was great and a very good way to close the show.
Yeah, really good match. Not as good as Show and Shingo, but considering we just saw this not too long ago, they made this feel still fresh. So credit to both guys there. I mean, both guys are really good. They've worked with each other plenty of times, so they know what they're gonna do. They're very fluid with all their movements. Ishimori winning he gets his win back there. I'm not the champion losing. I realize it's a tournament kind of setting, so the champion can afford these losses. Usually, I feel like they happen a little bit later, at least in the G1. Like the champion typically isn't losing right away. This match may have been better served to be a little bit later on as well if Ishimori was going to win. I'm never a huge fan of champions losing non-title matches. I understand it more when it is a tournament like this because the champion just can't go undefeated every time. I think in this instance, it would have been better if Dragon Lee had picked up a couple of early victories and then lost, because like he literally just beat this guy and then he wasn't like worn out from the tournament or anything. It's the first match of the tournament and now Ishimori beats him. So it almost feels a little 50-50-ish to me.
Yeah, fair enough. But night one off to a good start. And so we will move on to night number 2. And we start off with the replacements doing battle. Again, we talked about last week, Flip Gordon, due to visa issues, could not go. So he was replaced by Dowkey, who everybody's calling Dookie for good reasons. And, Ren Narita replaced him. Dowkey replaced Desperado, who unfortunately broke his jaw. So they faced off here. Dookie is basically taken Desperado's place. He is dollar store Desperado, and that may be giving him 90 cents too much credit. Defeated Ren Narita here in the opener. He's basically part of Suzuki Gun right now, and it was a match. Ren Narita was really good, but Dookie was Dookie.
I didn't hate this match as much as the other match that we'll get into with him. I credit that to Ren Narita being really good already. I told you I love Red Narita. I know everyone's high on Yumino. I always viewed Narita as kind of the more of the breakout of this young lion bunch, and it might end up being both of them. But I really like Red Narita, and I think he was good in this match, as good as a young lion can be. And I think we're gonna look back on this and be like, the best match Doki had was with fucking Ren Narita, because I don't know if this guy's gonna have too many more good matches. First off, if you have Tai Chi ringside and in your corner, it's already off to a bad start just because it's Tai Chi at ringside. And then the work just didn't follow. But if this was your first impression of the guy, which it was for me, I didn't think like, hey, this is a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like it didn't. My first impression wasn't, oh, this guy's going to completely suck. My first impression was, hey, that was a fine little match. It was with a young lion, so I can understand why it wasn't anything great. I'll give him a chance for the next match, and that was a mistake.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know a lot about Dookie here, he's a Japanese wrestler that moved to Mexico, basically embraced the lifestyle. They like him there. And he has pretty much worked for every shithole company in Mexico. He's worked for major companies too, but he's a guy that they like there. He helps the Japanese guys when they come to Mexico. But yeah, he's like the definition of indie sleaze. He's Mexican indie sleaze at that. So he's such a fucking just a dude that I don't want to watch. But like you said, this first match is like, I hadn't seen a lot of him. I've seen a couple matches. And like I watched this one, I'm like, all right, he was okay. I'm like, as long as he has some okay matches, I'll be fine with him. And that didn't really happen on his second match, which we'll talk about later. But we'll move on to happier things. Robbie Eagles defeated Rocky Romero via submission. Really good match. Rocky, and we'll talk about him later on too. Rocky off to an 0-2 start overall, but he is having quality matches right now.
This was a strong match from Rocky Romero, and Robbie Eagles is obviously really good. So we'll get into, as you said, we'll get into Rocky again with his match with Ospreay, which was fucking awesome. But this match, another good match to go on the tournament, and a good start for the B block after the first match was fine, but this match really showed, okay, these guys can have some bangers here. Good match. I like Rocky Romero. He's one of the more probably underrated and underappreciated performers of our time, and Robbie Eagles is really good. So overall, good stuff.
Yeah, I feel Rocky really is underappreciated in a lot of ways, because there are a lot of people that shit on him being in the tournament. And I'm like, why? I'm like, Rocky is always solid to good. You're going to put him in there with a bunch of other guys that are motivated, and it's like, it's going to be fine. It's like, and then he had a very good match here, and we will gush over Rocky later on. El Phantasmo in his tournament opener defeated Bandito. Another good match. Not quite as good as Eagles and Romero, I thought, but a good match with Phantasmo getting on the board right away.
Bandito seems like he's going to be in for a weird tournament, because we view this guy as he should be one of the top guys in the tournament, but not off to a great start. And I realize his competition was a little tough. Like Phantasmo was never going to lose this match, so they're not after the way they introduced him and everything. But we'll talk about night 4 where maybe he could have gotten a win there. A good match. I didn't like it quite as much as Romero and Eagles as well, but I mean, it's very nitpicky. Phantasmo, he got his shine, as you would expect. Again, Bandito, I think we view him as a bigger deal than maybe New Japan sees him in this tournament. And so we're expecting more out of him than maybe we should in this instance, which I hate to say that, but I'm almost lowering my expectations for Bandito's run in this tournament and just kind of his match quality based on the first couple of nights.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And I don't think he's going to win a lot either, because it's his first tournament, and that's kind of what they do with a lot of guys, unless you're like El Phantasma, who they put a lot of hype into and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens. Not super impressed early on with the Bandito Best of Super Junior matches, but there's still a lot of tournament to go. We'll see what happens. Next up, Will Ospreay defeated Bushi. They actually had a very good match. Bushi's really funny with me. He's one of those guys he's a little hit and miss with me. He's kind of like Yo, because like you look at Bushi and Shingo's obviously the fucking star. But Bushi's really good, and especially when he wants to be. And again, you downplay a lot of the shtick. And like a lot of people just kind of look past him and stuff. I thought he had a really good match with Ospreay here, and it was very enjoyable. Good pacing, and everything worked out well, and Will's on the board early.
Ospreay is Ospreay. He's rarely going to do wrong. Bushi is fine. Like he's good. He's not bad. I don't have like a huge investment into Bushi, and I think that's sort of my issue with any of his matches. Is I just view him as kind of a good worker, but no one I'm like super excited to really watch. This match was good. I wouldn't say it was great or anything. And yeah, Ospreay wins. He's going to be in for a huge tournament. So yeah.
And then we're going to move on to the main event of night 2. 90% of the year, Ryusuke Taguchi he's the ass, man. He plays around with his rugby helmet. He works all these multi-man tags. He does his wacky dance and calls the plays. And then Best of Super Juniors rolls around. And we get big match Gooch. And people always, again, it's like the Rocky Rivera thing. People are like, why is Taguchi still in Best of the Super Juniors? Well, because every year Taguchi has a few bangers. And reminds everybody that when he wants to be, still a great performer. He's one of those guys, he's getting older. He's overdoing all the other shit he does. And he's just at the point that he can't work that level all year long. So he does the ass stuff. People love him. And then he comes to Best of Super Juniors, and people like me who are waiting for it get the big match Gooch. So he defeats Yo here in his tournament opener. I thought not on the level of Shingo and Sho, but I thought it was a great match, probably on the level of Ishimori and Lee from night 1. Great stuff.
I really like this match, and I'm not, as you said, like Taguchi is usually just kind of that fun character. He's the ass man, as you said, and like nothing where I'm super excited. Like I never think much of him as a worker throughout the year, and then Best of Super Junior rolls around and he makes everyone remember that, hey, this guy's pretty good. Yeah, I really, really like this match, and my expectations were low because of just how I feel about Taguchi for 90% of the year. And Yo isn't positioned as the same player that Sho is, but I enjoy Roppongi 3K just as a tag team on the whole. So I'm going to be excited for either one of their matches. And Yo really stepped up here and hung with Taguchi, and again, Taguchi elevated his game. So I really like this match, and Taguchi seems like he's going to at least go on a nice run to start. And Yo's probably he's not going to be as prominent as Sho is, but he's, as we saw on night 4, like he's going to win matches that maybe you don't expect him to win. So a good start for both of these guys.
Yeah, and I always like when we get big match Gooch, because it's always great seeing a guy that a lot of people want to shit on for most of the year because he takes it easy and he does the comedy stuff. And I know the comedy stuff is very subjective and it's not everybody's cup of tea. I get that, but I mean, I always crack up in the tag matches. I love when he starts calling the plays. He does his wacky little dance, and I mean the crowd loves it, and it's a fun gimmick for him. So I dig it. But yeah, great stuff there. Yo looked good, obviously, as you said, and yeah, and I really enjoy this year again how they've kind of tried to separate Yo and Sho because they're in this individual tournament. They each have their own style and new tights.
shows not using the Roppongi music, stuff like that. I think those are nice little changes to give them a little bit of identity because they are going to eventually break up. And it's,
dare you.
Hey, it's going to happen, brother. I'm sorry. And I still have a feeling, I'm going to throw it out there. I said it during the G1. I still think that when they break up, it will be Yo turning on Show. And I think Yo will be the little douchebag heel. And that's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. It could just be. I almost think they might just be better off. Like, hey, let's just kind of go our separate ways. Like, it doesn't need to be this big turn. But if they want to rebrand one of them, and I feel like it would probably be Yo as well because they're really establishing Show. Then yeah, a turn will be kind of necessary because you're always going to link the two together. So if they want to break that link a little bit, then a rebrand of Yo with a new name and a kind of a new style would work. But if you want to kind of always have that link, then just have the guys just go their separate ways and kind of almost Ibushi and Omega like, where there was no big turn or anything. They just drifted apart.
Well, they didn't really have time to book the turn, but yeah. Yo's going to kick Rocky in his nuts. He's going to beat the shit out of Show. That's how it's going to happen. I'm telling you. I feel it.
All right.
Moving on to night 3, back to A block action. I'll try to keep my composure. 90210 just came on the background. Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Hello, honey. But night 3 started off. Jonathan Gresham getting on the board, defeating Taka Michinoku. This I thought was good because Taka is obviously not a high flyer like he was back in the day. He's an older dude now. He likes to dirty it up and grapple on the ground, and that's unfortunately for him, that's Gresham's wheelhouse. And Gresham got on the board again. Good match, just under 10 minutes. I liked it, and the Gresh is awesome. Your thoughts?
Again, good match. Taka, 2 good matches right out of the gate. Gresham, the Scurll match was better than this one, but that's to be expected. But still a good match and a good way to kick off the night. Yeah, Gresham gets a victory. Taka clearly here just to kind of put guys over, and Gresham he's going to be kind of in the middle of the pack throughout. So, but a good win for Gresham and a good match overall, especially given the time.
Yep. Next up, Tiger Mask defeated Kanemaru. They carried over. The one thing I did like is they're carrying things over, and they do this really well. Injuries and stuff from the previous night, like Gresham came up with his fingers taped up from Marty doing the finger snap spot on night 1, and in this match, Tiger Mask heavily selling the knee that was injured when he came into the tournament, which conveniently enough, Taka worked over fellow Suzuki Gun member, trying to give Kanemaru a chance to get a win here. But Tiger Mask overcame the odds, and overall thought they had a good veterans match. They had a good layout with Kanemaru attacking the knee and everything. And it worked out really well. And Tiger Mask is 2-0 and off to that early start.
That's one thing that New Japan really does well, not just in this tournament, but overall throughout their tours and whatnot, is kind of a cumulative damage where guys aren't just, if they get their leg attacked on night 1, all right, they're only wrestling a tag team match on night 2, but then they come back night 3 and they're just like fully healthy. Like that stuff kind of carries over. Like that's how you can have your champion kind of lose in this stuff, is if he had 3 really hard matches to kick off the tournament and his 4th competitor kind of had easier matches. Yeah, it would make sense that the 4th competitor is a good worker or viewed as a top guy or something like that. You can feasibly quantify, I don't even know if that's the right term, but you can feasibly say that the champion can lose on that 4th match because he got the shit beat out of him in those first 3 matches, while his opponent in the 4th match was a little bit more rested. So that's something New Japan does really well with Best of Super Juniors and the G1. And it showed here, yeah, as you said, Gresham's fingers being taped up, Tiger Mask with his knee. So that stuff, it all typically plays off in the end. And yeah, Tiger Mask overcame. He won. He's off to a good start. I imagine he'll start to fall back when he wrestles other guys, but he can afford to beat Kanemaru and Taka. Like, they're not doing anything in this tournament.
Exactly. And then we moved on to the man of the year right now, Shingo, defeating Teton in just over 10 minutes. Good match. Teton was fun here, but he may be a good brother, but he was not ready for Shingo. He got destroyed.
Not much needed, but a performance I think Shingo needed in this match. It didn't need to go overly long. It should have been, all right, we'll give Teton a little bit, but for the most part, Shingo is just going to destroy him. And that's what happened. It didn't need to be like with Shingo through 2 matches. They're booking him very well. The show match should have been long with some hope spots, some really strong near falls, because you're building show. You've really built that feud through the tour, but otherwise Shingo should be portrayed as really a killer in this tournament. And so when you got a guy like Teton who can afford to get killed, that's what should happen. When Shingo wrestles Tiger Mask or Taka or Kanemaru, it should be the same story, especially in the case of like Tiger Mask. Like, if you're going to do a cumulative damage stuff, like Shingo should just go in there and rip his fucking leg off in the first 5 minutes. So through 2 matches, I really like what they're doing with Shingo. And yeah, he's probably going to run through this whole block.
Yeah, and I agree. There are matches for him that do not need to be long at all. They just need to be, give the guy a couple hope spots, largely let him run through. Yeah, it's, again, keeping it simple. It's especially when you have a guy like Shingo who has been presented so well, has a great backstory that people already know about in terms of his career, comes in with LIJ. He's undefeated so far. And you just let him do his thing. It's not really hard. And they're doing it so far. And like you said, the show match needed to be long and competitive because they had built something there. But Teton is just Teton. So he can lose quickly and there's no problem. I'm fine with that. Then we move on to what ended up being just a really fucking weird match. Taiji Ishimori defeated Marty Scurll. I liked a lot of what they were trying to do here. They were working a match that kind of forced Ishimori to work out of his comfort zone. Marty was working again. More straightforward, less shtick. But Ishimori felt really off during the match. He had a couple slips. He was going for either a tombstone or that like Dodon lung blower thing to where he about dropped Marty on his head. And he felt really off. The crowd didn't really feel into it. And I think it was good overall, but it went off the rails really weirdly. I almost don't know how to explain it.
I didn't like this match.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's tough to say it's bad because the majority of the match was like the work was fine. It's very much almost a Randy Orton-esque match, and that's not typically a compliment, where there's nothing wrong with the work, but there's just something about it that doesn't hook you in the way you want to be hooked in. And that was this match for me. It felt boring. It definitely felt long. Like it went like 25 minutes and it felt even longer than that to me. I guess it went 22 minutes. But again, it felt like it went much longer. Yeah, Ishimori, the tombstone spot where he nearly killed Scurll wasn't good. I don't know if it was Ishimori, if it was Scurll, if they just didn't mix well, if one of them just had an off night. I just could not get into this match the way that I was expecting to, because I mean, I like both of these guys. I was expecting a really good match. When you put Ishimori and Marty Scurll together, you should be getting a really good match. It's not even that I didn't like this match because it failed to live up to my expectations. I just didn't like this match because nothing really hooked me in this match. It just felt long and boring to me, and I would just wanted it to end. And then the messing up a couple of things certainly didn't help. But even before that, I didn't enjoy the work prior to that. Like, the crowd didn't even seem that into it. It was just, I don't know.
It was really fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's almost the best thing to say about it.
Yeah, it was definitely something about this felt off, and I don't know what it was, but it definitely did not do anything for me. So I won't say like this was the worst match ever or anything like that. It was
that's the next night.
Yeah, it was a fine match. It just did not do anything for me.
Yeah. It was so fucking weird, but yeah, it was so we move on to the main event. Dragon Lee defeated Show. Another long match for Show, 27 minutes. Took the champion to the limit, and again, he's 0-2 in the tournament, but he's clearly being positioned as a major star, taking Shingo to 25 minutes to his limit, taking the champion to his limit, 27 minutes. He looked great here again. It was a match that took Dragon Lee kind of out of his comfort zone, limited his flying a bit, hard hitting, more submission based, and really, really great stuff. And so far through 2 nights, or 2 nights of block action, Show is the MVP of this tournament right now.
Another strong performance from Show. As you said, he's 0-2, but he lost to Shingo and Dragon Lee. Those are 2 losses that anyone can afford, and it's always the manner in how you lose. It never felt like he was below these guys. He was right on par with them. It's just one hasn't lost, the other is the champion. Show has been primarily a tag team guy throughout his career, so it would make sense that he would lose to these guys. But the fact that he hung right there with both of them gives you hope for what's to come with Show. So they're doing everything right with Shingo. I feel like they're doing everything right with Show. Dragon Lee needed this win after the Ishimori loss, which I talked about in my question, kind of their order of things there. He wasn't going to go 0-2 because then you really don't make your champion look as good as he needs to. So a good rebound win for Dragon Lee, where he gets pushed to a limit by Show. And yeah, I like what they're doing with Show and Shingo in this block.
Yeah, they're doing really good stuff with those guys. I will definitely agree there. Enjoying it. We move on to night 4. Robbie Eagles defeats young Ren Narita in the opener. And by the way, I figured out the reason why Ren Narita doesn't get as much push as Umino. It's the hair, brother. Let's face it. Ren Narita has a shitty haircut. Umino has
nepotism.
Umino has beautiful flowing locks, my friend.
Fair enough.
Yes, it's a Tanahashi vibe.
Yeah, I was about to say hair game is pretty important in New Japan. So
that's right.
Could be right there.
So we just need to get Ren Narita a stylist, and I think his perception will change. But Robbie Eagles defeated Ren Narita. Good match again from Eagles. Good effort again from Narita. He's so great. The young lions like him and Umino, that when they do this closing stretches to where they start pulling out cradles out of their asses and getting those like near falls and stuff, and then like the crowd actually fucking believes that these guys are going to win. When in reality, we know he pretty much has no chance to win. But it works, and it's just really great stuff. And Ren Narita looking good. It's a big opportunity for him to really impress here. Unfortunately, because of No Flip Gordon. But it's a big, big thing for Ren Narita. It's like a couple years ago when David Finlay ended up getting in the tournament. And the thing is, though, to remember with that, and there is a specific reason I bring this up. David Finlay did pick up a win that year in the Best of Super Juniors, beating Gator. So, while it's unlikely that young Ren Narita wins a match,
it would not be impossible for him to pick up one win. We'll see what happens, but yeah, he looks really good. This tournament is going to be great for him in terms of just continuing his growth. And yeah, Robbie Eagles looked good here too. Picked up the win. Good match.
They should put the title on Ren Narita. He's had 2 good matches for the tournament. It's tough when the young lions can only do so much. So in a sense, that almost makes it easier because they're not going to go too far out of their comfort zone. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Okay, never mind. Sorry about that. Near fall. So they're not going to go too far out of their comfort zone, which can make things easier in that sense. Like they're not going to try anything too crazy. They're going to just kind of keep it paint by numbers. So the other guy who can do more can just kind of work around that. And I feel like that's what we're seeing from Ren Narita in this tournament so far. You wouldn't call the matches he's had with Doki and Robbie Eagles like classics or anything like that, but they've been very solid short matches to where you're also like, hey, if you got 10 minutes, like check out these matches. You're not just going to completely skip over them. So Ren Narita's not going to win much. Maybe he beats I don't know, looking at this list, like he lost to Doki, so this is a tough bracket to where maybe the only one that's jumping out to me is possibly Taguchi later on if they just want to kind of have a surprise element. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure where Taguchi is going to stand, and I haven't looked at the full schedule, or I don't know the full schedule off the top of my head, so I don't even know when Ren Narita is going to face Taguchi. But if you're losing to Eagles and Doki, there just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of wins here for him. But I think he's going to have good matches with everybody where you're just like, hey, that was a solid match. You should watch it. And he's going to be the champion this time next year.
One thing is Ren Narita is not having a bad match. We know that. Dude's really solid. And he always gets the crowd into the end of this match. And yeah, so it's again, I think it's going to be a really important tournament for him to grow as a performer. And again, it sucks for Flip, but it's really great for Ren Narita, who is obviously, along with Umino, a guy that they have a ton of future plans for. So, it works out at least well for the company and for young Ren Narita. So it's good in that aspect. Moving on, Yo picked up his first win defeating Bandito, and that kind of goes into what Jeremy was saying. It looks like Bandito's in store for kind of a weird tournament. I thought it was a very good match, but yeah, it's just never felt like it was going to get great, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, quality stuff, and Yo picked up a important win, so he's on the board.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Show. How many wins does Show have? None. My boy Yo's got the victories here. Yeah, as I said with Bandito, my expectations have been lowered with him after the first 2 nights. When he faces somebody like Ospreay, I mean, we saw Ospreay and Bandito at WrestleMania weekend. We know, and that's a match that's going to get time. He's faced 2 guys to where he hasn't been able to get a whole lot of time out of. Like Ospreay, that's a guy you're getting time against. Even potentially Taguchi, like that's probably a guy. I guess we probably should have expected a little bit of more time out of the Phantasmo match. But the Ospreay match is definitely going to be like potentially another classic from those 2. But yeah, this match was good. Nothing wrong with it. Bandito, my expectations have been lowered with him in this tournament. I just don't know. I don't think they view him as highly as a lot of us view him. And there's nothing wrong with that. He's not a New Japan guy. They shouldn't be putting like too much stock into him. He's not sticking around after this tournament. And maybe he's in the wrong bracket. Like you look at this bracket, and aside from Ospreay, like this bracket, if we're being honest, is a little bit weak. Like Phantasmo, they have high hopes for, but he's not established. You look at the other bracket, like they're really pushing Show. There's obviously Shingo. Scurll's a former champion. Ishimori is a former champion. Dragon Lee is the champion. So you've got kind of more top end talent on the other bracket, whereas this bracket it's Ospreay and some other guys who have just kind of always been, like Taguchi's a veteran and a former champion as well, but it's just other guys who have just kind of been around. So it's a weird bracket overall, and maybe that's part of the reason why lowering the expectations for Bandito should be there. This maybe just isn't a bracket for him where he's going to get these long matches to shine.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So and you brought up El Phantasmo a moment ago. El Phantasmo defeated Bushi to stay undefeated. Again, good match here. Bushi's working hard so far. Phantasmo is looking good. And like you said, they seem to have big plans for him early on. It'll be interesting because he is facing Robbie Eagles here coming up. So the Bullet Club lads will clash, and they are both 2-0 right now.
Another fun match. Phantasmo, he's going to be pushed. He's going to be right there at the very end. Again, Bushi, not a guy that does a whole lot for me. Too short to really mean anything too much, but Phantasmo gets the win. He shines once again, and that's what they should be doing with him.
And then we move on to something which was fucking great. Will Ospreay defeating Rocky Romero. They went over 25 minutes. I really like this. I saw people kind of bitching about it, that it was too long and all this, but first of all, Will's a guy that's going to get longer matches in the co-main and main event spot. Second of all, it was a great story. It was the cagey veteran entering the tournament again after a couple years off, looking for one last run at glory against the rising star that's in his own faction, and Rocky was basically trying to show that the old Black Tiger still had some claws, put on a spectacular fucking performance. Will Ospreay was great here. Just everything worked really well. I thought the drama was great. I thought the near falls were great. I thought the fans were into it. And just for those of you that were shitting on Rocky being in the tournament, fuck off. The dude's 2-0 in terms of delivering very good to great matches already. And he's great. And he has a place in this tournament. So fuck off.
I really love this match. I love the commentary on this match too, because Caprice Coleman and Kevin Kelly were really into this with their kind of freakouts and everything. With the near falls, and I thought that added a lot to it. Like they felt very invested in this match, and that's always a good thing when your commentators don't feel
amazing,
like robots. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how that works, Jeremy?
Yeah, when your commentators just don't feel like they're robots just spouting catchphrases and buzzwords and whatever, like when there's actual emotion into the matches, and not saying they're going off script. They probably don't have a script, but just the real human emotion into these wrestling matches, like it adds a lot to it. That's why I have my gripes with Mauro Ranallo. That's why he's very good at what he does, though, because during those big moments, he really amps up the emotion. He can knock it off with all the pop culture references, but when it comes to calling those big moments and conveying that emotion to the audience, he's really, really good at that. And Kevin Kelly and Caprice Coleman were really, really good at that in this match. The match told a great story. I don't know why anyone complained that it was too long. It did not feel like 25 minutes. Like this match felt shorter than Ishimori and Marty Scurll to me, and this match was 3 minutes longer than that. This flew by for me. I thought it was excellent. Romero really stepped up his game. As I said, he's one of the more underappreciated stars in our time, and Ospreay is fucking Ospreay. The guy, if he's in the main event or the co-main event or really anywhere on the card and he gets the proper time, he's always going to have just an excellent match. This was no exception. And Ospreay's probably going to run through this tournament or through this block, because I don't view this block as being as strong as the A block. Romero tested him. That's good. This is a thing where you get tested on this night. I don't know what his next match is, but if he gets tested there, then maybe there's a surprise upset in his fourth match, because he had 2 tough matches where maybe you wouldn't expect him to have that tough match against Rocky Romero, but he did, and that accumulation and that fatigue starts to set in. So, yeah, this match ruled.
And I also think something that a lot of people are forgetting is it makes perfect sense for Rocky to take him to the limit, because they have, number one, they've spent a lot of time in investing in the fact that Rocky is essentially a New Japan Pro Wrestling junior heavyweight legend because of all the time he's held the tag titles. He's led 3K to the titles. And then on top of that, you have the fact that they are Chaos stable members. So who would know Will Ospreay better than Rocky Romero, one of the senior members of Chaos? So it all makes sense. You don't have to think that hard about it. It's not like an overly complicated story. Yeah, Rocky was great here, and you did bring up, I was going to save it for the end, but you brought up Caprice Coleman, who ends up as a surprise commentator on this tour, and Caprice has actually done a really, really good job so far. I have really enjoyed his work so far. I think he's honestly done better here with Kevin Kelly than he does in Ring of Honor when they have him commentating. I think I don't know if it's just because it's a fresh environment or he's just that excited. But like you said, yeah, he's brought a lot to some of these matches. I've really enjoyed his stuff. Just like I crack up every time he marks out at the Taka theme. So like, Taka's coming, motherfucker. And then he's like, did he say that? And then Kevin Kelly said something like, they used to be $100 fine in Ring of Honor. And Chris like, it's 2 now. Yeah, I mean, they have a good play with each other. It's fun commentary, like you said. They're invested into it, and it's just, yeah, it's been good. So, thumbs up to Caprice Coleman, man, because I've been a critic of his a lot of times, and I think he's been problematic at times, just not being that good. But he's been really good through 4 nights here.
Yeah, I guess it would probably be the fresh environment. It feels like he's like, we know who Caprice Coleman is. It feels like he's kind of calling it as a fan, and this, like, Kevin Kelly is such a professional to where it kind of works here. Don Callis could give off similar vibes when he was there, especially when it came to Bullet Club and Kenny and all that stuff. Like, we knew he had allegiances there. And Caprice Coleman almost feels a little bit similar, but more to the fan, just kind of like, I'm really excited about this match. I'm really invested into this match, which I don't think in this instance there's anything wrong with, because when you do have a guy like Kevin Kelly, it works. Now, if you didn't have someone as good as Kevin Kelly beside you, and you just had someone kind of more lost, like, let's say Jim Ross is beside you, and then the other guy comes off as a fan, then it probably doesn't work as well. So I think that's a credit to Kevin Kelly as well. And it's a different approach for Caprice Coleman, to where it's nice to hear that enthusiasm and that emotion in wrestling. Like, there's nothing wrong with conveying that enthusiasm and emotion. And it's not like Caprice Coleman is just like Super Mark in the booth or anything. He knows his history. He has ties with some of these guys. But that's how he can come across. And I think it works in this setting.
Yeah, and I do. I agree. But yeah, Caprice has been good, and it's always nice to be able to praise commentary, because I feel like I end up shitting on commentary so much at times, and it's not New Japan, but like overall wrestling commentary can be really bad sometimes, especially WWE. And like I said, the robotic nature and just the everything is a fucking branded catchphrase. That shit just annoys me. So, but yeah, really good stuff here. And you brought up Jim Ross. That is one thing I am not looking forward to with AEW.
I don't know how to feel about Jim Ross and AEW. One, he hasn't been good for a long time. He clearly didn't do his research on the New Japan product. And like, if he's not going to do his research, he's going to suck, and he sucked. AEW, I think, will be a little bit better. think he's gonna he's invested in this promotion. He clearly wasn't invested in New Japan. I think he viewed that more as, hey, this is just a job to me. I'm getting paid. This is nice. They're letting me do commentary, which is what I want to do in WWE, but WWE won't let me do it. So I'll just kind of show up, collect my paycheck, punch in, punch out. AEW is different, where he has a bigger role in the company. I would hope that there is some investment into it, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, despite the fact that he's been terrible for years.
I hope he doesn't suck, because I have to watch it, obviously, but I'm not holding up hope. But speaking of things that suck, let's talk about this main event.
Yeah, I like how we just went on two different tangents that we were. I mean, the Jim Ross thing probably wasn't even relevant. It wasn't relevant. And Caprice Coleman, you said you were going to save it till the end. We were just trying to delay the fucking review of this match is all we were doing.
Yes, the main event of the show was our boy Big Match Gooch, who tried his absolute best here, defeating Dookie in 21 minutes and a half. It felt like about 21 hours. The Gooch won via submission with the ankle lock. And this match sucked. It was bad. It was bad before the useless run-in. The first 8 or 9 minutes were lifeless. The crowd was dead. Taguchi was trying really hard, but again, Dalki was just being Dollar Tree desperado. Taichi got involved. And it just was not good by any stretch of the imagination. It has nothing to do with just heel shenanigans. Because, I mean, while they didn't help, the match was bad long before the heel shenanigans. I mean, the only thing that was good is the fact that Taguchi won, and then at the end, Taichi tried to get involved, and the Young Lions cut him off. That's it. And then it ended. 3 things. I'm sorry.
Taguchi... Taguchi was fine. I don't blame him for this match at all. Again, Taichi being in ringside is going to immediately hurt the match. Taichi actually getting involved is going to hurt the match even more.
Yep.
This match wasn't good. I really feel bad for Taguchi because we've seen this guy step up. We know what he can do, and he was put in a position to fail with Doki here. So yeah, not a whole lot to say. I hope, I don't know what their plans were for Doki moving forward, because he was a replacement of El Desperado, and I don't imagine Desperado was going to get a whole lot of wins. Maybe Flip Gordon was supposed to get more wins than, I mean, Flip Gordon was definitely going to get more wins than Ren Narita. So maybe they thought, okay, Doki can kind of get those wins that Flip was getting. They're trying to portray him as something, like the whole background story with, you know, oh, he's living on the streets, you know, he's got nothing to go back to. This is his moment. This is his big shot. Taichi trained him. He's this killer. He's this assassin that Taichi's bringing in and everything. Like, they're trying to build him up. I think after this match, if he was supposed to have any wins, give all those wins to my man Ren Narita, because this guy sucks.
Yeah, I wouldn't dispute that at all, because Ren Narita is actually, you know, good. So, yeah, so that closes out the night. And unfortunately, that was the worst match of the tournament for me. Just so bad. It was everything I pretty much hate about pro wrestling, especially in big matches. To close us out, I got an email. It was kind of interesting, and I like when I get these. I had somebody ask me, Larry, if you could book a WWE G1 field for the men and women, who would you put in? Now, obviously, I would have no faith in WWE to run a G1 style tournament. Not due to talent, but due to the fact that I don't think that they could lay it out and stick to it. But I was
they'd have a wild card in the tournament.
Yeah.
Somebody
wild
would just
card entrance.
Yeah, somebody would just replace somebody, and it would be a mess. NXT could book it. I have faith in Papa Paul to put it together.
Yeah. But I sat there and I thought about it, and I had a little bit of time last night, so I went ahead and threw blocks together for the men and women using the main roster NXT and NXT UK. So I'll throw these out there, and you guys can fantasy book all you want. Maybe somebody can eat. What the hell is it? EWR or whatever this shit is.
Yeah, EWR, TEW.
Okay. I can never remember. I get it all mixed up. But somebody can simulate the tournament for me. But anyway, Block A for the women, I will go Charlotte, Asuka, Io Shirai, Bayley, Ember Moon, Toni Storm, Kaylee Ray, Jazzy Gabbard, Shayna Baszler, and Mickie James. And then in Block B, I will do Becky Lynch, Kairi Sane, Mia Yim, Bianca Belair, Nikki Cross, Candice LeRae, Rhea Ripley, Piper Niven, Naomi, and Ruby Riott. So that would be your 2 blocks of 10 for the as I think it was Pro Wrestling Eve did it last year. They called it the She One. That was a clever name. I will give them that. And but yeah, that's what I would do. And then for the men, I would do Block A: Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Walter, Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Ricochet, Rusev, Finn Balor, and Ali. And then in Block 2, I will go with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, Matt Riddle, Kyle O'Reilly, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, Andrade, and Buddy Murphy. And yes, I did not book Kofi Kingston, The Miz, Roman Reigns, because I'm trying to book the best matches I possibly can.
You don't have big match Roman in there.
Yeah, you mean mild WrestleMania match Roman?
Oh, come on, give him a break. The lack of Kofi Kingston, I would, no knock on Buddy Murphy. That guy has been great and has really stepped up. You got to replace Kofi Kingston. You got to put Kofi in there over Buddy Murphy. Like, it's not that all right, if you're gonna say Roman is not, if he's medium match Roman or whatever, like, Kofi is really fucking good, and you put him in this style of tournament, he'll probably be even better. I'm taking out Buddy Murphy. I'm putting in Kofi Kingston, and on the women's side, I'm taking out, we'll say Jazzy Gabbard, and I'm putting in Dana Brooke.
Okay, that's just a horrible decision. But no, I understand your point with Kofi, but I'm looking to put on excellent and great matches, and I think Buddy is just a higher level overall performer. Again, Kofi's a great story, and he wouldn't be bad by any means. But I think Buddy Murphy is designed for something like G1, just going out and having great matches with different dudes. So, but I mean, fair point on Kofi. I'll give you that. But yeah, that's what I would do. But yeah, I got that email. And I was like, and Cook and I did this, I think, a couple years ago. But it was one of those things. Because, like, you look at the WWE roster, and, like, it's insanely talented. There's so many damn guys on there. It's just unfortunately that they're not booked that well. And that is not their fault.
Yeah, when you talked about the talent, like you even mentioned, like, you left off Kofi, you left off Roman, who I still think gets a bad rap. You left off The Miz, who has really improved significantly.
I left off Cedric too.
Yeah, I was gonna say Cedric. There's a lot of talent that just isn't in this tournament, and there's a lot of talent that you do have in this tournament. And it just goes to show, like, there is so much talent in WWE right now, and you list off these names, and you're like, none of these guys feel like a big deal. The NXT guys feel way more protected and way more of a big deal than anybody on the WWE roster right now, and that's sort of an issue. And, like, the NXT brand only has so much pull, so it's not like they're even these big stars. They're these big stars to a smaller group of people. Yeah, there's so much talent in WWE though, and they're producing the shows they're producing.
Yeah, it's definitely a shame. So we'll wrap up on that note, Jeremy. And Jeremy and I will be back on Monday because we will have to talk about the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and then we will have to preview Double or Nothing because it's a busy month. And then we may fit in some Best of Super Juniors discussion too, because we got weekend shows of that. So, Jeremy, thank you for joining me as always. And also, Steve Cook and I should be recording another kind of throwback podcast where we're going to look back on the infamous Vince Russo, Eric Bischoff reboot of Monday Nitro from April of 2000.
I've watched that show more times than I should watch any episode of Nitro. And fuck Steve Cook.
So that's the plan for the upcoming shows. Remember, you can follow the 411 on Wrestling Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, and the 411 site. Please make sure to subscribe and share the show. We would greatly appreciate it. And if you do have time, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Until next week, for Jeremy Lambert, I am Larry Csonka. Stay safe, everybody, and happy wrestling.